Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to take a look at one of the Pokemon that really succeeded recently in the regional events, and that's going to be Clefable. Clefable is really cool because it's going to be able to completely destroy both the Medicham as well as the Carbink, having access to Media Mesh, which is honestly an insanely overpowered move, but also Stab Moonblast, which is even stronger than this. The only issue for this Pokemon is you don't really have a very cheap move, like nothing around like 45 to like 35 energy, but still you're going to be able to charge very fast thanks to the addition to a Fairy Wind here for this Pokemon, allowing you to destroy something like a Medicham here, which is really nice in the first game already. But honestly, this team was amazing for me. I had a crazy decent win rate with it. I actually don't know really how it was in the end of the day, but I think it was like 14 wins as well as like 4 losses. I did try like a lot of different other teams before I used this team here, and they all didn't really work out that well. Also with Clefable, because I kind of wanted to make just a team around Clefable. But so I went basically for my favorite backline in the season, which is going to be Greninja Lickitung backline, because it's the best thing basically that you can have if you have a lead that's going to be good against Medicham. Here, of course, with a Fairy type Pokemon, you're going to be super fine against those Pokemon, or against like Medicham, and just Greninja is so cool in the back if you're gonna get out the Medicham with your Lickitung. And yeah, honestly, was my favorite team, and let's move on to the next game. Next game coming up, we're going to have a Lickitung in the lead. That's going to be okay for us. We can just go for one charge move and then maybe swap out eventually. You kind of want to play this kind of like an ABB style team, but not really. Like, it's not as strict as usual ABB style teams. Like, it's not that bad if you lose the lead. A little bit tricky if you have like a Medicham lurking in the back. But here we're going to be able to just go for one Moonblast, hit them for a lot of damage, still keep some energy, and also catch a move, which is going to be amazing for us because we're going to get out the Alolan Ninetales of the opponent. So we have to hope that we can get some shields here, and we're gonna get a shield immediately, which is amazing for me. And I can still try to go for a body slam, but I am not able to reach it in time. So I decide to use a shield here, which might have been not the smartest idea. But let's see if they're gonna use another shield as well. They do not, and I thought that body slam would do way more damage than it actually did at the end of the day. So I am kind of forced to try to go for a full farm down here, but I like you see here, I'm going to be able to catch the Weather Ball onto my Greninja, which I feel like is the smartest play that I could have went for. Still, the charm damage is just doing so much damage here, but I still have at least a lot of energy. And they're going to have a great Pokemon for us in the back, which is going to be the Stabilize. So as soon as I'm going to be able to get a shield from the opponent, I'm going to be fine, because our Clefable has so much energy stored. We will be able to just go for a Moonblast after this one then as well. I can just go for the Hydro Cannon here as well, doing a lot more damage to them. And even now a Media Mesh would be all it takes to knock them out. We have this even stored, so this is going to be also a good game. Well, let's move on to the next one. We're going to have a Quagsire in the lead. And again, you kind of want to play it like an ABB style line, but not as strict as usual. So what you can do here is you can try to weaken up the Quagsire a little bit. You can go for a Moonblast, but the opponent decides to actually catch this move onto a Sandslash. And this is actually fairly fine for me, and as we can see here, I'm gonna not decide to go into my Greninja, which would be usually the better matchup here for this Pokemon. But as I see that they are running the Shadow Claw as a fast move, I want to get a ton of energy on my Lickitung here, because Lickitung going to be able to punish later on the Quagsire with a Power Whip if I want to. And so this might be the better matchup for me. I can still realign my Pokemon no matter what. And here we're gonna see actually the Quagsire coming back in. I can easily survive still any kind of charge move here. It's going to be the Awkward here. And I can go for a bait actually, because I expect the opponent to use a shield here onto a potential Power Whip. And so they decide to use a shield, and I can still force them to throw another charge move. And now I have switch advantage as well as shield advantage, which is amazing for me. The opponent decides to stay in here with their Quagsire, which is going to be okay for me, as I'm going to be able to just go for a Hydro Cannon at this point. I don't think actually a Hydro Cannon does knock them out. Quagsire is pretty bulky, especially if it's not the Shadow variant. And yes, they're going to still be able to survive it, so it forces me to use a a shield here, of course, against the opponent's Mud Bomb. And they're going to have a Gligar in the back, and this is literally the best Pokemon that I could have imagined, because 2 Hydro Cannons are coming their way. And this is going to be it for this game, as we can now one-shot the opponent's Gligar, and we can move on to the next one. Honestly, I love Greninja so much in the current meta. It's just so much fun to play. It's literally such a cool Pokemon, and the backline itself is just so overpowered in the current meta. But let's take a look here at the next opponent. We're going to have a Lickitung again, and we're gonna do exactly the same as we did before. We try to do some damage first and then swap out, because it's not as strict for the ABB style line here. And the opponent decides to go even for some body slams, which I definitely like, because we can just take them way easier here than compared to the Clefable. Lickitung has so much more bulk than the Clefable has, so we were able to just just absorb the damage a little bit easier here. And honestly, I should have maybe went for the Power Whip at this range, because I feel like it's just barely in Power Whip range. But I decided to go for a Body Slam, which might have been not the smartest idea. Definitely Power Whip would have been better here. But I can still go for another one, just knock them out, and I can realign, which is kind of nice. It turns out they're going to have even the Azumarill in the back, allowing me to go for a Power Whip, which is going to be cool. And so we're going to be able to do some decent damage here. We can even go for a Body Slam, and so we might even be able to get a shield here if they think it's another Power Whip. And we do get a shield, which is amazing. Also, I did actually some coaching sessions as well with this team here, and also the player that played this team as well did a lot, like had a lot of really great games with it. I think they went 11-4 with this team, which was really nice, and 2 wins were something that they could have won, but yeah, either lag or some misplay happened there. But honestly, this team looks like so much fun, and it's like so overpowered currently, so if you still need to climb a little bit, might be a team for you. Here we're going to encounter the Shadow Alolan Ninetales in the back, and you might think, oh yeah, this game is over. But honestly, it is not, because their Shadow, a Hydro Cannon, is going to knock them out, and Greninja can even win this matchup here. Next opponent going to have one of the Pokemon that I don't really like too much with this team, actually 2 of the Pokemon. Here's the thing with this team. This team is really weak against Registeel. The issue here is Registeel is pretty rare to be seen, at least in the Elo ranges I am at, or like in general. Recent meta shifts kind of made Registeel not as popular anymore. I feel like mainly because just the way better Steel type currently is the Alolan Sandslash, which this team can way easier deal with. So yeah, it's a little bit tricky to play against Registeel with this team. Great play here by the opponent, by the way, to undercharge this move, because it's going to force me to go straight for my Hydro Cannon, because they were able to get some extra energy. But as you can see here, this is going to get the knockout against the opponent. We're going to get the Pelipper out of the way again, and they're going to have a Stunfisk in the back. And at this point of time, we're just going to get kind of hard-walled, because the opponent just has a double Steel backline, and they can align their Pokemon correctly. I still don't give up here, because if I get a boost with my Greninja, I still might have a chance of winning this game, especially as we can go for another Moonblast here, trying to get the knockout, or even like getting them close to farm down range for my Greninja. But they actually, oh wait, I can still go for a Media Mesh as well, which can be kind of nice for me. They decide to use a shield now, which is cool, but they can go for the full farm down, allowing them to go for a charge move here. It's going to be either the Earthquake or the Rock Slide. The Rock Slide is coming through. This is going to be just Rock Slide, so I have to let this move go through as well. But while I have some energy stored here, I'm relying on a boost here, basically on the first Ninetales, and sadly we are not going to be able to get this one. If we got the boost, this game most likely would have been a win for us. But as you can see here, they are just barely out of range for it. I think I would still be able to reach another move. I just want to test it for like science basically. But actually I would have lost anyway, so like it doesn't even matter. So let's go into the next matchup. Next opponent, we're going to have a Charizard in the lead. Horrible lead for us. We're going to swap out immediately into our Lickitung to get out a Swampert. This is actually fine for us, as we're going to be able to even bait the opponent a little bit with Body Slam here, because we know that a Power won't knock them out immediately. So they're most likely going to use a shield against my Body Slam, and so they will. And I might even be able to reach another Body Slam before they can even do anything here, which is going to be amazing, as this is going to get the opponent insanely low and allows us to realign if we wanted to. But honestly, I'm kind of fine with this scenario right now, because I can take the move here as well, and I hope that Greninja can sweep endgame. If the opponent did not go into their Medicham, but rather go basically into their Swampert there, it's very likely that they don't have a Medicham in the back. So we're most likely going to be fine with our Greninja, but let's see, they're going to have a Quagsire in the back, and that's going to be fine for us. We can go for one Hydro Cannon. We will see that another Hydro Cannon will knock them out with the extra damage of my fast move. So this is going to be fine, as we're gonna get the knockout here already. I can go for a Ninetales. This is gonna get the shield from the opponent's Charizard here, of course, as this is going to allow us to get to another one. But I kind of want to win this game with my Clefable. I'm going to decide to shield this move up, but I can still go for a Media Mesh here, which is gonna get the knockout against the Charizard, and we can move on to the next game. Let's see, very bad lead for us again. So 2 times fire types against us in the lead, so we're going to swap out immediately into a Lickitung to get hard-walled again. This can happen, like this is something that you have to see as well. There is no team in the world that is not going to have any hard counter lineups as well. Here, of course, it's fairly unlikely to encounter Skeledirge in the lead, as well as Registeel in the current manner. But the opponent also plays it really nice here. Going to go for the Zap Cannon first, which will allow them to take those Body Slams and the lick damage a little bit easier, thanks to the debuff chance there. But as you're going to see, they can knock me out now, and I'm not in the best spot. They're going to have 100 energy now 25 left. But I decided to go into my Clefable, because I know that my other Pokemon, just my Greninja is going to be my most valuable Pokemon and most likely has to take down 2 Pokemon for me. And I should have not went for the charge move here, I feel like. I think that was a mistake. But I at least can go for 1 extra fast move here with my Greninja. They decided to go into the Skeledirge, which is actually kind of cool for me because I can go for the Hydro Cannon and just gonna get the shield from the opponent. And so we're in a decent spot and they're going to have their own Greninja in the back. And this looks actually very decent for me. But I somehow screw this up and I don't even know how yet, but we will find out shortly most likely. As the opponent decides to go for a Nightslash, I guess this might be how I screwed this one up. As I go for the Hydro Cannon, the opponent decides to let this move go through, which is actually fine for me. And I can catch the move here onto my Clefable, which looks actually fairly fine as well. The opponent gonna go for the charge move there, gonna get a free fast move in. And I just have to hit basically 2 Nightslashes here in order to win this game. But I'm still not there yet, and the opponent is somehow already at 2 disarming voices, and there's going to be sadly a knockout against our Greninja. Moving on, fairly neutral Elite Force is going to be the Azumarill. Here's the thing with Azumarill. Azumarill is going to be tricky for Greninja to deal with. Of course, it's a Fairy and Water type, resisting both the Water type as well as the Dark type damage of our Greninja. But as soon as we're gonna get them into like half health range around there, we're going to be fine later on with Greninja as well, as 2 Hydro Cannons will do the job for that. And here's exactly how you kind of want to play this team, because you want to get out the Medicham. The Medicham wants to avoid, of course, your Clefable in the lead. So swapping onto your Lickitung allows you now to get them out, and you can even go for a Power Whip, which is going to be amazing for you, as this is gonna get the knockout. So we were able to realign, and I should be even able to go for another charge move, but the opponent decided to go for their own charge move, allowing me to realign as well. And so I go into my Clefable, because 1 Meteor Mash is all it takes to knock them out, and so we can go for the Meteor Mash on a CMP tie. This should be enough to knock out the opponent's Azumarill, but they decide to use a shield here, and so I decide to use a shield, as we are going to be able to outspeed them anyway. It's going to be the Hydro Pump. I can overfarm by quite a bit now, which is going to be amazing for me. And like this, I'm going to be in such a great spot here. I can just go for even another shield. I have so much energy stored now. The opponent is super low. I can even farm them down, and they're going to have the Sableye in the back. Gonna get a big one-shot here. Let's go for the boom against the Sableye, and we can now just farm them all the way down and win this game. Moving on, second to last game. Horrible Elite Force, we're going to have the Sandslash, and we're going to swap out immediately into our Lickitung. Lickitung can win this matchup thanks to them running Shadow Claw. I feel like Shadow Claw is still the more common variant of the Sandslash in the current meta, which I'm fine with because it's better for me. I feel like Powder Snow is a little bit better than Shadow Claw, but it's not really that much of a difference. Like, Shadow Claw gives you a better matchup against something like a Lantern, while the Powder Snow gives you a better matchup against the Lickitung. It really depends on what you want to have. Here for us, of course, it's better that we're going to be able to just double resist the fast move there as the opponent swaps out into the Quagsire. I just want to get some damage onto them. I don't really want to play it like kind of crazy or whatever. I just want to get the damage, because now they're going to be in range for just 1 charge move of either Greninja or my Clefable, and I'm totally okay with that. I decided to go into Greninja because we charge up a little bit faster, and I'm going to use a shield just in case it's going to be a hard hitting move, and it's going to be a Stone Edge, so I'm totally happy about this. But they're actually going to be able to get to another move in time, which is just going to be the Awkward Tail, allowing me to even overfarm by a little bit more, which is amazing for me, because now the opponent's Quagsire are going to go down no matter what they want to do, and I have so much energy stored, which will come in clutch hopefully later on, as I decide to swap out first into the Sandslash and now into the Jellicent, and Greninja is just a core breaker for this team. So let's take a look at the complete nonsense here of the Nightslash spam, which is just so mad. I can even catch a move on my Clefable, which makes this game even easier for me. And this is the thing as well, Clefable actually has coverage for Sandslash, which a lot of people most likely not really expect too much there, but against the most common Steel type, you're actually gonna do a ton of damage with Meteor Mash as well. So the matchup for Clefable against Ice-type Pokemon is not even that bad, right? Here we're going to have an Abomasnow in the lead, which is going to be okay for us because we have our Meteor Mash. And Meteor Mash is going to do some super effective damage against them, and they're going to decide to use a shield here. So I'm totally fine with that. I'm going to not use a shield for the first one. They're going to outspam me because they have Weather Ball, of course, which takes only 35 energy, and their fast move is also fairly fastly charging there. So we can overfarm by a little bit. They decide to catch a move onto the Azumarill, which I'm fine with because I can just go ahead, stay in for a little bit, get a ton of energy, and now swap out into my Lickitung. because this should put them into Power Whip range plus Lick damage, as well as I still have a move slot on my Clefable for later on for the Bomber Snow. So this is looking really fine for us. Power Whip does around like 45% or something like this, so we can just go for the full farmer now, and we even get out of this matchup with a Body Slam start, which gonna put the opponent into range for even a Nightslash from the Greninja. So this is looking really decent for us, but it still depends on what they're going to have in the back. But I think it's going to be a Sableye, because this is like an OG team for the Go Battle League, and so I expect that they're going to have a Sableye in the back, which would be fine for us. And it turns out I am totally right with this, so we're going to be able to just go for the Hydro Cannon, and this is going to be a good game. This is something that you also kind of have to keep in mind as well. Like, there's just some kind of variants of teams that you're going to see all the time, and this is like one of the most common ones from back in the day. So like noticing stuff like this is going to help you to adapt later on for your game style. But this is going to be it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to leave a like, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.